Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Katie, we have a very different episode this week. You brought a friend to the show who, after just talking to her for the first couple minutes, clearly a delight, and I am very excited for this episode. But we're not talking about a piece of Christian pop culture today, really.
Not really.
Yeah.
But I want to introduce the amazingly talented, super hilarious, one of my former college handbasket crewmates, Maurie Speed.
Woo! Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to come on here and fellowship with you all.
Yes, of course.
Oh, God. I just got the chills.
As we were emailing back and forth on, like, is there like a song or an album or a TV show or a movie or whatever that you would want to talk about, you kind of just dropped this bomb on us of, can I just talk about growing up in the Assemblies of God? And I said, should I research that? And you said, no, feel free to react in real time as I explain to you what that is. Because I don't know what that is, but based on its name, it doesn't sound great.
It's Assemblies, and they're bad.
I'm sure. I'm sure nothing culty or weird happened in any of those circumstances.
No, everything was totally normal, above board, very chill. Just like a chill space.
And I obviously we're joking a little bit about this, but obviously there has been 2 or 3 now different documentaries that have come out kind of tackling just the different types of Christian organizations that maybe aren't as culty in the, wearing matching robes and drinking punch while you're in your sneakers to, board a spaceship situation. But in the...
Sign me up, though.
Yeah.
Come on.
Listen.
No.
In the 90s seemed crazy. In 2025, yeah, whatever you need, whatever I can do to get off. So the... But now we're like kind of highlighting, I can't even remember what the name of the one is, but everybody's been talking about they would put the giant like concerts together, and it was like DC Talk. Yeah, like it was like DC Talk and the Newsboys would play these giant concerts where they would like really bang it into your head like you've got to go to a Christian college or you're going to be brainwashed by the liberal media, blah 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 blah. And like that is culty. Like that is also culty. So tell me, what is the Assemblies of God? Because I have no clue.
The Assemblies of God is basically just a denomination of like Pentecostalism. So it's Pentecostals. I believe, I was trying to like look this up a little bit yesterday because I was like, I don't remember church history stuff. Sorry, APU.
Right.
No, my brain has also just decided to just like eject whatever is not like currently necessary.
The amount of times that Matt has asked me about like specific like Bible passages and things like that I used to know and study late at night that I was completely flushed from my brain. I'm like, I don't remember.
That was just like a psh, in the airplane, you hit the button and it just shoots out the back. And that's how I feel sometimes. And I'm like, I don't even remember, how do we even get here? But yeah, so to my understanding, the Assemblies of God was a part of like early like revival type stuff. So this is like turn of the century. And there was always a Black church component. So there was always like an offshoot of some of these big revivals. So ironically, the Azusa Street revival was a big originator of the Assemblies of God. And then there was later Brownsville, which was another big one. And so over time, I think they ended up like, of course, like branching off into like a bunch of little ones. But the Assemblies of God is like a massive, also international community, I realized. But they have a USA version that I guess was the first one. Anyway, there's always been some like really interesting, like they ordained women, I guess, for a while. One of the
did they stop?
Yeah, but they like my church didn't, of course. Like not the one that I grew up in, of course. But it is in their like rules that women can be ordained, I guess. It was only ever presented to me that like a woman could be an evangelist, but she couldn't like lead the church. You know, she couldn't be like the leader of like an organizational type of a thing. But I had lots of female like traveling evangelists who would like come through and like preach. We were really into like traveling preachers, which feels like really old. Like we would be like, we have this Sunday, Terry Gladstone. She's on her tour through the Southeast. And it was kind of like almost concert like where it was like an event and people would show up. And it's very spirited. And I mean, my church growing up, I'm from North Carolina, so right outside of Charlotte. Our church ended up being around like 3,000 people. So it was like a decent sized church for our town. Not a mega church by today's standards, but certainly like one of the bigger ones in the area. And yeah, I mean, it was very much like the pastor who started it was like very early, like one of the people who kind of like started the town. It was like his church. And so it just kind of grew. And of course, like the city has grown quite big now. But anyway, all that to say, the Assemblies of God is, they believe in obviously like gifts of the Spirit. So if you're thinking of a Pentecostal church, you're thinking of people who are very like vocal during the service. There's a heavy emphasis on music. So there's always like big choirs, lots of like, I mean, I can get in, this will tie in later, but lots of like dramas, lots of like performance style. It was very showy is all I gotta say. And of course, when you think of Pentecostals, you probably think of people speaking in tongues, which we also did. That's like a little piece of it. Interestingly enough, yeah, there was definitely some like early church like segregation stuff that's weird. Of course, like in all church history, that it was like, you guys have your own, we'll have our own, that later got kind of mixed together. But a very interesting origin story for these people.
Yeah. And were you always at that church? Was that like the church that you just grew up in?
That is the church I grew up in. Yeah. We were there probably by the time I was in high school, I was probably at that church 6 days a week. I was probably there. Oh, wow. I went to this Christian school there. They started a school, as one does.
Yes.
And so I went to the school from like kindergarten to high school. I went to the same school. My graduating class was like 60 people. I mean, this is what we're talking about. Teeny tiny. And, you know, it was very involved.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it. I mean, when I think there's a reason why we met in the drama program at AP. Yes. And you were always a very like emotive and very expressive person to begin with. But when did you start getting into sort of the performance side of the Assemblies of God stuff?
Thank you so much for asking that, Katie.
Oh, you're welcome.
When I was born, I'm just kidding. Like I said, there was always a lot of performance involved in the church. And so from a young age, I was kind of like interested in it. I was like, this is fun. And, you know, I love to watch, like we had, you know, like every church, I don't know, as far as denominationally, if you guys were from like more kind of music inclined ones but like ours would be like, you had the stars up there, you know, you just had stars of the choir, you had stars of like, we're going to lead. And I would just like idolize them, you know, from a young age being like, wow, they're so awesome. They're so cool. And I kind of had a feeling that I wasn't going to be a great singer. You know, I kind of was like, I'm okay. But I just knew that. Like, that's not my gift from the Holy Spirit. I was not gifted that particular one, but I could be silly and make people laugh, and I love to gab. So I was just like, let's get up there. So I did join the choir probably first, just as one of the many faces of the children's choir. I will say we did a Christmas extravaganza 2000. Okay, so this is for the millennium, right? Because that was a big deal. We put on one of the most insane shows that I still have a tape of to this day that included one of those like, I don't know how many story singing Christmas trees, like people, there's like human beings making a Christmas tree. That's the choir. There was like our weird rendition of the Nutcracker, which I got a small part playing like a dancing mouse. That was like my first memory of like, wow, she is a star.
Right. You know,
and then I'm pretty sure the Grinch showed up, and I'm pretty sure like what looked like RoboCop or Bible Man. I'm not sure who it was.
Was this like that church that does like the legally not Broadway shows where they're like, this is Hamilton, but also it's about Jesus, and we didn't pay for the rights to any of these characters or songs.
It is giving. It is giving that same energy, but like early versions, shitty versions. I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to swear. The worst version of that. Like, I'm pretty sure we found the Grinch costume at like a costume store that was like going out of business or something like that. He wore like roller skates at one point. It made no sense. Yeah. Chris, my younger brother, who also wanted to be in it because he like copied me. Obviously, I was like, get your own thing. Katie knows.
I was wondering where Chris came into the mix of this.
He also, I was mad because he auditioned for like a main part and he got it, but he had a speech impediment. It wasn't a lisp. He couldn't say his like R's. And I was kind of like, is anybody else hearing this?
This kid?
This guy, really? Yeah. So
do you know how many R's are in Christmas?
One big one.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. If you can't get those R's out, like that's insulting. I'm realizing like something, but Katie, we're 12 minutes in. I didn't ask the questionnaire. This is a first-time guest.
Oh, we haven't given you the cringe questionnaire.
We haven't given you the cringe questionnaire.
What in my tech is not working?
I love quizzes, especially personality, BuzzFeed style ones.
And boy, that's what this is. So you're talking to two people who are 100% cringe based on this questionnaire.
Oh. Okay.
It's 10 points per question. They're all simple yes or no questions, but if they inspire a story, feel free to elaborate. But I think we'll start with the easiest 10 points you're going to have here. Have you ever identified yourself as a Christian?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 2. Did you ever attend youth group?
Oh, yes. Many nights of the week.
Question number 3. Did you ever own a What Would Jesus Do shirt or bracelet?
I believe I owned both. We had, back when the t-shirts were like just coming out, when they were like taking logos and like obviously like stealing them, and then just like making them a breadcrumb and fish.
Parody.
Well, dude, we're friends with one of the guys from Five Iron Frenzy who was on last week's episode, and when he was playing a venue recently, he said, "This is our first time playing a Christian venue, and the green room is so cringy," and he sent me. There was like a wall of stickers, but the one that he took a picture of specifically was the Reebok logo, but it said Reborn instead. Like it was.
Yes! Give me more, please. As the older I get, the more I really enjoy like a bad pun. Like
it's a terrible. That's not even like unique.
Work.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all. If not for the Reebok logo, I would not have been like, oh, that's a Reebok parody. It sounds just like Reebok.
One of them, I loved Reese's, so I think I bought one that had Reese's on it, and I forget what it said, but like it was like
Jesus. I think it said
it was like Jesus Christ, but it was the Reese's.
Okay.
Yeah. No, because everybody thought it was like a Reese's shirt.
Yeah, do you get it? Because it's like a Reese's.
Yeah, and do you want to talk about Christ right now?
You want to talk about Christ? Can I offer you a testament? Question number 4. Did you ever declare in some way that you were saving yourself for marriage?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that, I had a purity ring. I mean,
who didn't?
I also, this is like maybe a little bit like I need to talk to my therapist about this, but I have, obviously. We did one of those like daddy-daughter dances. Have you heard of these?
Oh, I've heard of them, but I've never
yes.
attended for obvious reasons. I'm neither a
Yeah.
daddy nor a daughter, but
It's as bad as you think. Thankfully, no one ever pulled out like a sword or anything at mine. But there was
They
like,
were pulling out swords.
you know, like, I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the videos of these people like that are in like really fundamentalist circles. Those are nuts. But the
That's-
one that I went to was kind of like everything else in my life, kind of a little janky. You know, it was just kind of like thrown together. It didn't really. It was like in the same space as like we went to like a cafeteria at my church. You know, it was just like, okay.
I love that you had off-brand purity culture.
Yeah. Well, it was.
Culture.
Listen,
And like we didn't
I
even
get
have
it.
the real true love waits people come. You know, like those
Yeah.
were like the people. You were like, I want to get
Right.
the actual ring, and we had like these like little crappy ones.
Yeah, no, I get it because it all. There's always small.
Give me the real deal.
Yeah, there's always small, kind of in the middle of nowhere towns where someone, especially in this day and age, they see something on Instagram and they're like, I can do that at my church. But it's like not even like remotely close to what they saw on the internet because they're doing it for nothing.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, I am very grateful to have experienced all of this pre-internet because
Yeah.
I'm sure there's stuff that happens now. I'm like, ugh, like I
Yeah.
wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, that's-
people who try to recreate stuff. in my-
Yeah.
It dawns on me now that promposals were like a thing for longer than I've been alive, but because
Sure.
that portion of the world, like the internet didn't show me that, I never heard of it. I thought that was like a new thing that like Gen Z and Gen Alpha started doing because it's all over the internet during prom season of these like elaborate promposals. And I think it was like watching a random like CW show from the 90s where they were talking about promposals, and I'm like, oh, this was a thing. It
We
just
didn't
didn't
get
make it
all
to my little
here.
area.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I didn't get to see what Brad did to ask like help me out. Like, they would come back to school and be like, "Oh yeah, so I wrote it in chalk on her sidewalk out front."
Yeah.
Her mom helped me, by the way. Her mom basically did it.
I think of how I ended
Sorry.
up with my prom date was that I was at a party and my friend just said, "Why don't you take Sarah?" And she was standing next to me and she's like, "Yeah, I'll go." And that was the end of it. Like
What
the
a
least elaborate.
promposal.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I don't think that's how mine went down either. I'm pretty sure it was just kind of like, "Hey, so do you want to
Do anything?"
I was like, "Sure."
Same for us. I always thought promposals were for the rich kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it required
because-
like a car effort. I don't know.
Yep.
Flash mob. All
Props.
right. Question number 5. Did you ever have a strong opinion of a Christian band blowing up in the mainstream? Either you were very excited for their success or you thought that they were sellouts.
I did. I remember being like, so we weren't allowed to listen to secular music. So this was a big deal. So like, I would be like, well, like I love Reliant K, but they are getting played on like, secular radios. Like, does that
no.
mean them like, are we not allowed to listen anymore? And I think as long as they still like mentioned God in any of their lyrics, like I don't remember what the criteria was. Cause I think at this point, my parents were just kind of like, yeah, sure. But I was like a rule follower. I was like, well, I don't know.
And Reliant K is one of those bands because we covered their first album as one of our early episodes.
Yeah.
And that first album, they talk about God and Jesus on every single track. It is just
lot.
crammed in that. And then by the very next album, by the time you get to like Sadie Hawkins Dance and Pressing On, there's like a song. Like there's like
Yeah, they're just goofing in that album. You're just
they
like,
just
am
and
I
that was the mood
still
from
out?
that point on. Like the other day I was literally in my car listening to 3 Lefts Don't Make a Right, but or 2 Lefts Don't Make a Right, but 3
But
do.
3 do, yeah.
And I'm like, except for literally the slow acoustic Jesus song,
Yeah.
he's like nowhere to be seen on this
This is
album.
like a Weird Al record.
Yeah,
at this point.
it's so goofy. They get so goofy and weird. No, but I remember they were.
like, it was a big deal though, like when Amy Grant crossed over,
Oh,
or
people
even like when Stacey
boycotted.
Orico had a secular hit. Because I was
Yeah.
like all in on Stacey Orico. I loved like pop divas. And I didn't get my own really, right? Because I wasn't allowed to listen to, whatever, like Britney Spears. Like, I mean, I was doing it, but like I wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
I couldn't physically I could not go out and buy the CD. So I would have to like steal it from a friend. They would like let me borrow it. I would slip it into my Walkman and pretend I was listening to like Nicole C. Mullins.
Yeah.
And it was like, I did that. I remember I did that with Good Charlotte. That was when I was in middle school.
Oh, shut up. That's amazing.
I snuck one out. I was like, I'm bad.
See, the funny...
Did your parents ever catch you?
No.
Not until they hear this episode.
They made these rules and then they really never checked up on it.
Yeah. Well,
but I was just like, yeah, I guess I have to follow this forever.
I think what's funny for me is that I was the religious one. I was like the Alex P. Keaton of religion at my house. Like, no one else was that invested as I was. So I had these rules, and like I'd be the one to be like, we really shouldn't be listening to this radio station, Mom. We should be putting on
classic
the Christian station. But that was like, so I do a podcast about one-hit wonders, and like that's kind of the joke on that show is specifically like 2000 to 2003, when I was at my most religious, is such a pop music blind spot for me, because I'd be like, oh yeah, and like I'm familiar with Sum 41, but have you guys heard like, and then just hand whatever album and it was always a band that got like one album out on Tooth and Nail and then broke up. Like, oh, but have you guys listened to the Undecided? Like
yep. What was it, like PAX 1, 2, whatever was it?
PAX 217. That's
217. That's where I got my numbers all flicked around.
Of course.
I mean, like I had like, because you start to be like, all my friends are listening to like rap and I don't know anything and I just look like a freaking idiot at school, and so you're just like. But
then in comes KJ52 and John Rubin,
and then I get the Eminem wannabe guy, or I got the Grits album and was like, okay.
The Grits album's actually, but that's the thing. I feel like we talked about this a little bit on the Kirk Franklin episode that we did.
I did listen to. I saw Janae. I was like,
yay!
But to be like, in all sincerity, and this is going to sound like a really weird sentence to say, the non-white artists, honestly, I'm going to include everybody. The non-white artists made genuinely good music in a way that so many of the white artists couldn't.
Like people who were not like, you know,
Mary, like Mary had a huge hit.
Huge hit. No, I think there is a lot to be said about white people historically stealing a lot of cultures and then kind of coming to the pinnacle of what that will produce.
Yeah, we were just a bunch of like rapping Pat Boones out there, just like ruining someone else's genre. It was bad. And that's coming from me, who like, I can't wait for us to start doing some John Rubin episodes, because I think John Rubin is an intensely talented rapper. But still, like Grits and Cross Movement in those groups were astronomically more talented than what the white rappers were doing.
I even like, because I wasn't allowed to listen to Destiny's Child, but like Out of Eden, I loved.
Out of Eden was
like, Out of Eden rules. And I would go to my conference and see that they were playing and be like, I know this one.
Yeah. But okay, so here's my first, and then we got to get back to the questionnaire, but my first experience of maybe not all Christians have your best intentions in mind ties to Christian R&B. Do you remember Raz? R-A-Z-E. And they had a minor crossover hit with Always and Forever.
Obsessed with them.
And then you remember that they broke,
what, like, electronic house music was.
Yeah.
And I thought they were the coolest shit I'd ever heard.
And then they broke up because the one dude was like sleeping with a teenager that was one of their backup
15.
dancers.
Yes.
Like,
no.
And that was like early 2000. I was like, oh, maybe not all these people are great.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. That actually was the first album I ever purchased for myself.
Listen, that Always and Forever song still is a banger.
I will be here.
Always and forever.
I will be here for you.
All right, so question 6. Have you ever asked somebody, how's your relationship with Jesus?
I guarantee you that I have. I mean, in some
how long has it been, really?
I mean, how many Bible studies have I not only participated in, but led eventually? Like, you know, the apostate becomes, or whatever, like, you know, I became the leader of these. indoctrination stations.
We're already going to throw you the 10 points on question number 7 because you sort of already answered it. Did you ever participate in an awkward youth play in front of the church? Yeah, you were a mouse with the Grinch in a Christmas play that made no sense with a kid who couldn't say Merry Christmas.
The trend would continue. Spoiler alert. She was. This is cool.
This is one of my favorite questions. Go ahead.
This is just before this. This is like an APU caveat. Did you ever do drama missions team?
I did not do drama missions team because I did not like.
Yeah, fair. Okay.
He is the person who he showed me APU, basically the campus, like when I visited, and I was like, this guy sucks.
Question: What is drama missions team?
Well, my friend, it was called DMT because they thought it was funny and cute. It was where there would be one gentleman. He would write these plays that were very, very Jesus-y and like also a lot of his own personal history, and they would produce them and travel.
Perform them?
Yeah.
For strangers?
Okay, so this was my fear, was that it was like, so, we recently talked about me helping with a missions trip to help flood relief. Like, my version of that is like, there's been a flood in North Carolina. Let's go put on a Jesus play for this town to cheer them up after their house has been destroyed.
You know what these people need? Not food or water or electricity. They need me to do a pantomime for them.
Yeah, they need the arts more than ever.
Of New Nation Stomp, which is something that I have done.
Oh my God.
Well, putting a pin in that is a future episode that could just be dissected for hours.
I'm your host, Stassi Schroeder. Welcome to Tell Me Lies, the official podcast. What's the most unhinged thing of season 3?
Steven, because he's so evil.
I do think he is misunderstood.
You see everyone face consequences. It's intoxicating.
The writers just know how to trick you.
There's always a twist in this show. It's nothing you would expect.
Tell Me Lies, the official podcast, January 6th, and stream the new season of Tell Me Lies, January 13th on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
At Maximum Mediocrity, people say things like,
I don't dress like this on the regular basis. This isn't my, pooping uniform. This is not
and they also say things like,
The nurses are usually either angels of mercy or whores.
Every episode is a new experience where you get to know people that aren't famous but should be.
Why am I facing Floyd Mayweather in the woods?
My co-host Morgan and I track down the people you didn't know you needed to hear from.
It's like hot sex in a mug.
We are the Maximum Mediocrity Podcast, and we are on all major podcasting platforms. We'll be waiting for you.
All right, so question number 8, probably my favorite of the 10 questions this year. Have you ever held up your hand while listening to worship music?
It was kind of like required. I don't know. Like if you were at a Pentecostal church and your hands are down by your side, everyone's kind of side-eyeing you like, do you even you must have Christ? What did you even do last night? It was a Saturday. Like it's Sunday and your hands aren't up. Like, do you feel guilty about something? Like there was like an expectation of like, you express yourself in this church. You sit there and even people who wouldn't really sing out loud, I feel like was kind of like a side eye. It would be like,
this sounds like the church nightmare for any introvert.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I would not recommend.
I may have some follow-up questions once we finish this questionnaire. So far, you're doing great. 2 more yeses and you're 100% cringe. I think you're going to get this. Number 9, did you ever try to convince a friend to listen to a Christian artist by claiming that they were as good, if not better, than the popular mainstream alternative?
I think I did that with Toby Mac.
Yeah.
Yes. Oof. Again, I will say, thankfully, I had a friend who swept me up. I was playing soccer in 8th grade, and I was playing with some older girls. And one of them was like, dude, this is embarrassing. You don't know like the rules. And I was like, I don't, help me. And so he kindly just started like burning CD after CD after CD. And she happened to be a big like 80s pop fan. So to this day, I still have a lot of knowledge of like, I know so many 80s pop songs. They were like probably a little too old for me actually. But like because of her, she kind of like helped me learn like popular songs, like songs that you would hear in like a bar or even at like the grocery store. Cause I would be like, I don't know any of this. And I was always like a joiner, you know, I really wanted to be like part of the group. So I would just be like, I can't ask what is Hey Jude, but I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
This was before Spotify too. Like we couldn't just like stream it. Right. So someone would have to let you borrow a CD, you know, I'm aging myself, but it was like harder I couldn't go and physically buy them myself. I mean, later on I could in high school. My parents were kind of like, I don't care. Just, you know, don't make me hear a bunch of like F words or whatever. So it went really hard, like pivot. Yeah. You know, back to that. But yeah, she was super nice and she helped me. She told me that no, Toby Mac is not indeed the same as, you know, Eminem. This is not a one-to-one.
It's nice to have a music mentor. Like it's always a nice thing to have in life. And the last question, this gets you to 100%. Do you ever wake up some nights in a cold sweat remembering something you said or did when you were at your most religious?
Yeah. I also think this is something that I've talked to like therapists about where you're kind of like, how bad is it that I went on like a lot of this is around like, you know, going to other cultures. And again, if you watch the Shiny Happy People season 2, whatever, they talk a little bit about that, just like the complete lack of cultural awareness. And this is also going to like, I went to Ireland, I think like the last one that I went to in high school when I was with this church was we went to Ireland and I was proselytizing to Catholics, basically saying like that they were not real Christians. And that is so offensive. Like I cannot believe that I would walk up to someone's house, knock on their motherfucking door and be like, Mary's not God. And like
it's
praying to an idol. I'm just like horrified.
I hate saying it like this
so much.
Yeah, I hate saying it like this, but like at a certain point, unless you've done something like truly awful, like your 20s, your 20s are almost like a get out of jail free card at the end of the day. Like your brain is just not developed enough for you to make smart decisions. Because like I think about the stuff in college and after college that I thought was like a funny, edgy joke that now I'm just like, thank God that those were jokes and ideas that were on like a live journal that has been so since destroyed. Like,
white, clean.
Like you're just like, and like, you know, it's not even, and it was never like, oh, these were my feelings. It was just like, oh, this will shock people. Being shocking is what makes you funny. Like your 20s
That's
are
what
just
brings people to God.
Yeah, it's all bad. Your 20s are the 20s. I would say the 20s are your worst life experiences, second only to middle school. Like I think middle school is the absolute shittiest, and then your 20s.
Because you have no like autonomy in middle school. You're just being like subjected to whatever your circumstances are. On top of going through like puberty. In your 20s, you have all of the awkwardness of figuring stuff out with absolutely full autonomy usually to make the worst decisions possible and hope that you don't like do something to irreparably harm yourself.
And you're also like at the peak of comparing yourself to other people. So like simultaneously it's like I am out of college trying to make it as a filmmaker while living in Pennsylvania, not California, and feeling nothing but jealousy towards like my friends who went and got desk jobs and are like making a ton of money. And it's like, well, they're doing a totally like, of course, comparing those two worlds is night and day, but you're just like, no, this is they're doing better than me, so I'm a failure. And like it's just like it is the worst.
Well,
my 30s have kicked ass. Until COVID hit, my 30s were like just like nonstop travel, like meeting new people, like just
like this rules.
Yeah, I was like, this is amazing. I'm excited for 40. That's coming up soon. It's coming up in a month. Like
hey,
take it on.
Up.
It'll be great. It'll be great. All right. So I do have a question for you.
Yes.
So as you're talking about Assemblies of God and we're talking about this stuff, one of my many side jobs is that there is a church in the Georgia, I think it's actually in the Atlanta area, that hires me to take their sermons and put stock footage over parts of it and upload it to YouTube for them. And it is unlike most of the church experience I've seen as a person at a white Methodist church in the suburbs. And I'm wondering if maybe they are closer to the Assemblies of God stuff, because the videos that they'll send me, the sermon alone is like 45 to 50 minutes long. And then it is often followed by 30 minutes of the band playing music as the pastor walks to what seems to be very performative crying as he prays on each person, and then does like a hit to the head and they dramatically fall into the arms of the people praying beside them session. Is that basically ballpark what your experiences were?
I would venture to guess they are probably in the family.
Okay.
In the assembly of 1 month. Yeah, probably. We had the structure of our services, and again, like my brother recently just started going to a Presbyterian church, and so I've come to him a couple of times, and I've come with him, and I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, it's so refreshing to try a new kind of format, because like
they are the opposite of performative. Just FYI, I grew up Presbyterian.
It's so sweet and so lovely, and it's so like tried and true. You know, it's very, you can set your watch by it. Ours are definitely, growing up, it was like a lot of really like hype. It would be like, let's get the crowd like going, like let's, and APU had a little bit of that too, with like the non-denominational, some of that stuff. They were like kind of picking and choosing, but a lot of it was from more charismatic spaces. They just kind of smooth the rough edges that are weird. They kind of were just like, let's get the weird of that little weird. That lady shouldn't be yelling in the middle of the service over top of the preacher while we all wait in silence for someone to interpret what she said. We're just going to get rid of that. But yeah, most of the services would be like big worship set, probably going to have several reprises when they would do like the offering, offertory, like, during the pass the plates around, another music performance. So the worship part would last quite a bit, at least 45 minutes, probably maybe an hour. And then the sermon is probably going to last like at least 25, 30 minutes, maybe closer to 40 minutes. Honestly, like we were constantly known for like being the last ones at the lunch restaurants, like of the church crowd. We would be like the last. Pentecostals are the last ones to show up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Our services last so long.
See, now the church that I go to, if the pastor's sermon runs long enough that the service itself goes an hour, he gets hell from everybody as they're leaving at the end of the service.
Big thing, walk up.
They literally, I as someone who sits in as the person who sits at the back of the church running the soundboard, I will literally hear them go, "Run a little bit long today, Pastor."
They got like a timer on him.
Oh my!
That's amazing.
Let me. This was not a member of the church.
Okay,
but I do think this sums up the area that I live in.
Yeah.
The pastor at the church, one of my closest friends now, such a sweet man. Grew up in India, went to school in India. That's where he got his degree. He's a very kind man. He had to do my grandfather's funeral recently, and someone showed up who I did not know So I don't know
the connection.
I have no clue what the connection was. Right. And at the end of this service, he started to leave, stopped, turned around, went back to the pastor who spoke at my grandfather's funeral and just said, "Great job. You spoke very clearly." And then left. And I was just like, oh my God.
Well, that's something.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback.
Yeah. And and him and I are close enough that I looked at him and we both just couldn't help but laugh because it's just like, it's just so like he goes, that's not even the most racist thing to happen to me this week. Like,
it's awful
which
to hear,
is
but
sad, but also like, that's, I guess, kind of the way people have to live through life anymore, but
yeah,
it shouldn't be.
So, it was a different time, as we are all like,
so when you went to college and met my co-host Katie, was that experience, because again, as I'm sure you've heard on the episode about Christian colleges, I did not go to one. So I don't know anything about these experiences. But was that a culture shock to you coming from Assemblies of God, or was it very familiar to you?
I thought it was like cooler than what I grew up with. The joke in like our circles was like anytime you had a friend stay over, like spend the night on a Saturday, and you'd be like, just come to church with us in the morning. Someone was going to do something so weird on Sunday. Like it would be like, Teeny Moss hasn't gotten up to give a word, and like, and there she goes, and it's my friend who's like never been to church before, or they go to like a Methodist church, or they're somewhere, in a much like quieter, calmer background. And someone at my church would do, or multiple people, something really weird. Like there would be an altar call and people would be being slain in the spirit, which as you described is basically when the spirit is moving in the, sanctuary, we are letting it flow. We're vibing in there. And the pastor is just going to kind of gently, tap down the forehead and you'll pass out. And we even had a special little blanket for the ladies who were wearing a dress. And you would just put the little blanket over their legs for their modesty and leave them there. Leave them there as long as they would just until they got up. That could last for a long time.
That's insane.
And it didn't happen every Sunday. That's the thing. We would always be like, well, Jessica spent the night, so obviously something weird's going to happen, And then something like that would happen, and you'd be like, sorry. Like in the car on the way to like the Mexican restaurant, you'd be like, so having to like explain it because then you'd be like, they were like, so when that lady got the mic and she started talking really fast, I couldn't understand what she was saying. What was she saying? And I'd have to be like, okay, so it's like when the Spirit of the Lord is like gift of tongues, and sometimes like God gives a gift of tongues, and you have to talk, and you don't really understand, but it's like a spiritual language, and then someone has to interpret for you, and they're just looking at you like you have grown a set of horns and a tail, and it's so awkward. And I would just be like, now I have to try to explain, like, why do I think this is normal?
That's I think of something my brother said to me in the thick of the pandemic, where, at that point we were deep into like Pizzagate and all these other crazy fucking moments. And my brother's like one of those people who just loves a good, dumb internet conspiracy theory. Oh. And he's like
golden age for you.
Yeah. But he's like trying to explain to Dad why these internet conspiracy theories are incorrect just shines a light on how dumb the ones that I read are. Because like my dad will just be like, well, Joe Biden's a lizard person. And I'd be like, no, Dad, all of them are lizard people and they live under.
Actually, they all are. And and Kubrick did the moon landing. And
it's like he's like, it's really just shining a light on how dumb it all is.
Yeah, exactly. You're just making it weirder and weirder.
I'm closer to my dad than I've ever been.
I do want to know when did you move away from the Assemblies of God sect of Christianity?
College, I would say, because that was the first time that I was around like other denominations, and that sounds insane, but like part of it is that you are so, like I said, I was at the same church. It was my entire life. I was there most days of the week. I was extremely involved. I was doing shows, and like you were talking about like writing your own plays for people. Like I did that stuff, like I was doing the most Christian. And so going to APU, I was like, oh yeah, like, no, this is cool. Yeah. I definitely, this is a normal service for me too. No one's like yelling in the middle. Sweet. Yeah.
Well, that
interesting.
I think that was regular college for me. You know what I mean? Like I said, like going to like regular college, and I want to stress that I do not have nearly the level of religious trauma that other people have, and I acknowledge that because I still work at the church that I grew up in because it, for the most part, was a really good church. But meeting people that were from different backgrounds and being like, oh, I can be friends with an atheist. You know what I mean? Like I can be friends with somebody who's Muslim and it's not a thing. You know what I mean? Like it was like this earth-shattering moment because when you grow up and everybody is a white person that goes to a church in your town, you're like, all right, well, anybody who doesn't live this life must be crazy. And then being like, oh no, they're all just humans dealing with things.
I will say too, one thing that I kind of like about the way that I was, the faith tradition that I came from was like, it was very multicultural in the sense that like, I think I have been to almost every type of service at this point. It does feel like I have been to so many tent services. I have been to many Spanish speaking services that would also last like 6 hours, and I'd be like 7, and you're like, wow, that's a really long time. I'm really hungry. And obviously like, we've been to like granted, it's a little uncomfortable now to think of like, we did silo a lot of stuff off. So like the main, and I see some of this now too, in some of the branches of some of these mega churches, they'll be like, this is like multiply, and it'll have like a name that's like vaguely racist. And it's like, it just means like it's in Spanish, or it's in the Spanish speaking neighborhood, or it'll be like, this is like, and you can just kind of, it's very strange because like in one way they're trying to be like, we embrace all cultures, but then they're doing it under racist. Yeah. Then they'll kind of almost segregate them into like, but this is like a different, like an arm of the major, one that we are. Because, which is like, I'm not saying not to have, services in other languages or that cater to a different, non-white audience. That's good. But like, why not incorporate that into the main service a little bit more? And I mean, we did kind of try to do it a little bit. Like at one point they hired, a Spanish speaking pastor on the main staff, like, ooh, but like, he didn't do that for us, it was just kind of like, it did feel a little bit like a token hire. It did. I mean, to me anyway, but I was a little older at that point. But I liked when I went, to APU that they had an international service. So I would like sometimes check that out. The liturgical service actually blew my mind because I had never been to one. I don't think that until I moved to California, I had never been inside of any kind of mainline church. Like I had not had any experience with it. So now I find them, extremely beautiful. And I like to go and visit. And, sometimes I'm like tempted to like join one, but I feel like an interloper a little bit, because you're like, not that I want what I had. I do not. But there are times that you're kind of like, I don't feel like I'm one of you, because some of you, it feels like you grew up in it and it's very like, and so be with you. And you're like,
and also you too did.
Sweet, but it's so cool. And I love to like go to those services.
This has been such a fun and fascinating episode. And I really hope that you come back.
Kind of branch off of this. We're definitely.
This is not a one and done appearance. If people want to follow all the things you do, is there a good social media handle for them to seek out?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow my personal stuff is mostly like, I am not like really, I'm active on my personal page, but as far as like my other things, you can follow Maurie Speed. I'm on, Blue Sky. I'm on, I'm not on X. Sorry, guys. I deactivated my account. Take that, Elon. But I am on like Instagram as well. I think it's Maurie Ray on there. But yeah, for the most part, like, I'm just goofing. I'm goofing online these days and trying to like do more, comedy stuff. I tried TikTok and I would love to be on it, but I feel old on there.
Yeah, we both
get that.
have the same experience. Yeah, we're on it, but I'm like, here's a podcast promo. I don't know.
Yeah, that's basically all I upload anymore. It's just promos for other things.
I do have a comedy group that we're trying to post more, and they're called Ladylike. So if you want to follow Ladylike ATL, they're also on there.
Amazing.
Yes, and I think that's also a great pitch for Maury maybe coming on the PTA show. I'm just putting that out there.
Of course. Well, Katie, I need you to strap in. Get ready. Because next week it's October, and it's time for the Halloween content. And we're starting with, I know you're not big on horror movies, but unfortunately, in 2006, someone tried to make a Christian Saul movie, and we are going to watch that. So stay tuned for next week's episode of Christian Cringe.
I'm not gonna lie, you guys did the Buttercream Gang episode, and that unlocked something inside of me because it won't shock you to find out that we were ardent subscribers to the feature films for families. Did they find us or did we find them? We'll never know, but I think we had every tape that's sent to the house that they ever made, and oh boy, I'm like, this is so my jam to go back and look at these, because it's really just bringing something out in me that was so deeply buried. Maybe should stay buried, but what a pleasure. So thank you.
Trust me. We're going through a lot of those with us.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.